So, you were saying horror movies are coming out. I just heard that Eggers wrapped filming on his werewolf movie.
That'll be
the guy
good.
who did Nosferatu.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
I don't know, after that last werewolf movie that we saw that I hated.
Yeah, with Julia Garner.
Yeah, I might have to give the werewolf movie a break.
Wolfman, yeah.
Wolfman, yeah. Maybe if we give werewolves a break, but we could watch The Mummy.
Yeah.
That one looks good.
Speaking of Dracula, did either of you see the trailer for Luc Besson's Dracula?
No.
Oh, no. That sounds good. I like it.
It looks very good. It looks very just kind of a traditional, straightforward Dracula adaptation. It doesn't really look like there's any sort of twist or anything on it, but it looks good. Christoph Waltz is in it. He's not Dracula. I don't know who's playing Dracula, but it looks good.
When's that coming out?
I just saw a full trailer for it, so I don't know, next few months or so. I didn't see the release date. It does kind of feel like a little bit of a Dracula overload the past few years with Demeter and everything else, and even and I loved it. Have you guys seen Renfield yet?
No.
No, I think I saw parts of it. It was kind of goofy. I mean,
oh yeah, it's a total comedy, but I've seen it a whole bunch of times. I showed it to all my friends. We all think it's hilarious.
Oh really? Maybe we'll have to give that a
I'll have
watch
to try
then
that.
too.
Have to give it a try, but that's not what we are here for today. After a long and restful break for the holidays and other things, Cam, you have a new home. You've moved.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
Lots
say
of
maybe
stuff has
restful
happened.
for you guys.
Yeah. But we are back for the beginning of season 6. And we're going to start it off with a bang. Well, probably a little bit of a muted bang because it has come and gone and people have had their reactions, but we've had a chance to digest. But we are going to discuss the final season of Stranger Things and see where we land on that after all the fanfare and the various drops of groups of episodes at different times, etc.
In the rumor of the mysterious 9th episode.
Yes, which did not come to
yeah.
fruition. That was funny. So, I guess, why don't we start with just an overall reaction? Jen, what's your sort of high-level, non-spoilery take, although at this point spoilers
I think, I don't
really
think
matter
spoilers
too
are
much.
going to really matter. I loved the series. I loved the season. I was happy with the way it was cleaned up. I mean, it was, I don't know, kind of expected, I think. I didn't find anything to be too surprising at the last, episode or how things, but I thought they wrapped it up fairly nicely. Definitely some plot holes that I think we'll get into later, some things that we were all kind of missing out on. I think that was a lot of audience reaction from a lot of people as well. But overall, I was excited for every episode. I thought they did a good job, and I'm a little sad it's over.
Yeah, I mean, it is. That's the one thing I was saying is it's like we've been looking forward to the next season of Stranger Things for the last 10 years, and now it's done. It's pretty crazy. Cam, what was your overall reaction?
My overall reaction is that it was just fine. I didn't think it was horrible. I didn't think it was mind-blowingly good. I thought they did a better job than I think some people are giving them credit for, wrapping it up as well as they did. But at the same time, it all felt very much like nothing at all was surprising, and it kind of felt like they were running out of ideas, and they clearly started this series not quite knowing where it was going to go, and I think you really started to see that in this last season because it felt very disconnected from especially the previous season, where it felt like there was a whole bunch of things that they set up in the previous season, and it's not that they didn't explore those or pay it off, but I don't know, it left kind of a weird feeling. I did love the finale, and the end got me emotional, so I say it was fine, but I think it could have done something a little bit more exciting or interesting. It just felt like it was kind of spinning the wheels and a lot of padding, but overall I liked it.
Well, that's a great assessment, Cam, and I can definitely see where you went with that. I can agree with a lot of those points.
Yeah, overall, I would say I loved it. I would say I didn't love it, but I loved it.
Medium loved it.
Yeah, medium loved it. I think overall they did what they set out to do. One thing I want to talk a little bit about, just audience and and all of that stuff and how that affects series. It won't, after we get through some more of the details, but so I'll put that aside for a moment. But I thought the first episode was a little clunky, but then by the end it got good. I thought they introduced some great things. Obviously, there were some great new characters this season. We just talked about Delightful or Dipshit Derek, take your pick. Holly, I thought she was excellent. Linda Hamilton, I thought was underused, and I think that maybe speaks to some of the things you were talking about, Kim, that were sort of set up that didn't necessarily get paid off. I thought that was a nice twist and surprise. Her getting kidnapped. I thought the whole Will situation at the end, the way they had that, so it wasn't really a cliffhanger, I guess, but the way they ended that first block of episodes with him kind of getting those powers and things like that, and they kind of went a lot of different places with that.
That last scene was, I thought, incredible. I remember we both turned to each other when we saw it. We were like, "Wow!"
Yeah. And then there was the whole situation inside Vecna's head with Max and Holly, and the whole working in of the theme of that. What's the name of that damn book again? I can't remember.
Wrinkle in Time.
Wrinkle in Time, yeah. And that whole thing, and there were some parts where it got a little sort of like chasing its tail a little bit,
a little redundant, yeah.
And some of that stuff that I thought could have been devoted to other things. It's funny. I thought we didn't get a ton of Elle in the final season. She kind of was like a secondary character almost. Yeah, in her own, it's not her show per se, but I thought the finale was great. You had the big battle. It was awesome. There was lots of questions. We can get into some of the things that people have criticized that final battle for, and the different things that happened, and the characters that were there or weren't there. What happened to Dustin's girlfriend?
Susie. What happened to Susie Q?
Oh yeah, I forgot about her.
And the Paul Reiser character just sort of, you can assume that he just kind of snuck away and escaped, but they never really followed up on him. But it turns out that he was all of that sort of convergence of the different universes coming together in the planets. Sounds like he discovered all that stuff, and that had nothing to do. That was all brand new. There was no
context
foreshadowing
seasons,
of that stuff in the earlier seasons, the whole nature of the Upside Down and what it really was and all that stuff.
Well, that leads to what Kim was saying too about them just kind of
throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall. I thought it led to some great scenes. And so just to finish off initial reactions, I thought the finale was the final battle. I thought was good. There were some things I would have been like, it seemed a little easy, maybe. Obviously, people are complaining about the fact that nobody important died except maybe Elle. But I do think they did a great job with the sort of denouement, if you will, the whole follow-up after the final battle of really spending a lot of time winding everything down and giving you some time with each group of characters and where they're going. Because I think people definitely needed that after this 10 years of this show. So I thought they did a nice job for the most part with that.
Yeah, because they were definitely middle-aged at this point.
Yeah.
The actors.
So overall, I think they introduced some new things this season that were surprising to me and I thought were great. I thought there were some amazing scenes and different stuff that happened here and there. And, the callback to season 2, and I can't remember her name. I'm going to go back to the cast member list.
Oh,
her sister,
Callie.
Yeah,
something.
Yeah, I thought they tossed her aside after the reception to that episode was so negative.
Yeah, well, I know at the time in season 2, everyone was like, no one was happy with that episode. It's funny. I remember I was like, just to go on a tangent for a minute, but when I originally watched season 2 and then when I rewatched it, I remember being like, what the hell are we doing?
It seemed like it took you out of it.
Took you out of the story. And it felt like, I thought it went off. My memory of watching that episode was that it was a couple of episodes, and it was really can we get back to the main story? But then
felt long.
Rewatching it was just one episode, and it was actually fairly quick, and didn't bother me nearly as much on my rewatch as it did when when it first came out. So overall, like I said, medium love for me. Getting into some of the plot points that were new this year. There was the whole Robin running the radio station. I thought that was cool. The whole town, the way it was shut down, was interesting. The way they had to hide 11, and the fact that the military had just taken over and they were looking for her.
I'm glad they kept Murray.
Yeah, the guy Murray was great.
He had a good part in it. I thought it wasn't too much, but he was definitely vested after everything, and it was cool to see him in it again.
And it was interesting because I do think like the Steve and Dustin thing, and then also Dustin being so upset about what's his name that he started.
Eddie.
That he was kind of going after and starting shit with the jocks
bullies.
and the bullies and all that stuff, and I thought that was what was really great. I do think they spent a good amount of time with all of the characters and their relationships, and having time for the new characters of Derek and Holly. Like I really felt like they spent enough time with all those characters, and there were some great performances. But I feel like definitely 11 again. It felt like she wasn't that connected to the story. I also felt like her relationship with Mike, it was kind of like gone. Like there was like no romantic chemistry between the two of them at all, and I almost felt like when they tried to sort of bring it back at the very end, when it was almost like, well, it seems like
a little too.
You guys are just friends.
A little too
now.
late, yeah.
Right.
So that was interesting. I don't how that all was set up, but yeah. So, and I think Max also too. Like, why was she all like shiny and glossy? Remember, like her face and her hair when she was in the dream hanging out with Holly. It almost seemed like she was like a projection of herself.
I don't know. Maybe it was supposed to be like ethereal,
was.
so it was dreamlike.
Yeah, I guess.
Know.
Yeah, it seemed a little
right.
But like Holly inside that realm of Vecna's head, she looked normal, but Max always looked like really weird. And I felt like they didn't give her a whole lot to do.
She did run a lot.
Yeah. She ran up that hill.
I wonder if she just wasn't she was like the least available, because I think Sadie Sink is probably getting the most kind of outside and
she's blowing up,
higher level work than the other cast members are, so that might have something to do with it.
Well, we did recently learn that what's his name has a music video and a single.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe it. What's his name? Oh my god, Steve.
The guy
Steve
that plays
Harrington.
Steve.
Yeah, he has that song.
I saw something about that just like earlier today. I saw him play a video of him playing guitar or something. I'll have to listen to that. That's funny.
So what are some of your thoughts around the plot holes, or what people have talked about as plot holes? What did you guys see as plot holes? Cam, why don't you go first?
Most of it was kind of stuff that from like the earlier season. I don't know how many plot holes like in this season I saw, but there was a lot of stuff that felt like they kind of forgot about it. And I think almost to that point, even like the beginning of this season and the setup is almost a little bit of a backtrack from where they ended the last season, when you looked over Hawkins and it was all like apocalyptic, and then they kind of rewound it. I mean, obviously they explained it, but everything was kind of still normal in Hawkins despite the military presence and everything. I thought that it was going to be kind of a balls to the wall, like apocalypse season, the entire thing. But there's a lot of stuff like that. Like I remember there being like a whole thing about time and clocks in the previous season, like the clock in Henry Creel's house kept showing up over and over and over again. And I thought that was going to be something
more
important,
than it was.
But it did.
Yeah.
Right, it doesn't seem like they even touched on that at all. And one thing I still don't quite understand what he even like needed all these kids for. It seemed like that kind of just came out of nowhere. He said, "I need 12 kids to merge the dimensions," or what. Like, there was a lot of stuff. Like, they still didn't really explain what any of it even is. Like, they showed him getting the rock at the end, but they didn't really expand on that at all. So there was a lot of weird little things left hanging, and who knows, that could be for a potential sequel show or spin-off or whatever else. But it was interesting that a lot of these big questions still kind of weren't quite answered as well as I would have liked them to be.
One of my biggest, I don't know, peeves, I guess, about the show was when they had the scene with Joyce giving out the pamphlets for the play. And they were doing Oklahoma.
Oh, right.
And it was all the people's names on, that were in school together. They were supposed to be in high school together. But that timeline doesn't make any sense with Henry. And also, too, I remember one of the scenes when Nancy's talking to someone about her mother and father and saying that the mother was significantly younger than the father. And they wouldn't have probably been in high school together. Even if it was a freshman and senior it still wouldn't be that much of an age difference. And Mr. Wheeler is definitely portrayed as like an old, grouchy, man. And, Mrs. Wheeler with her drinking problem.
Yeah.
So it just seems like they were fighting a lot. And Holly goes in her room and shuts the door because they're fighting again and all these scenes. And I'm like, I don't know, just like that whole, it was weird that they had that as a memory, but it couldn't have worked out. Like, It just didn't make sense that they were all in high school together. And that they wouldn't have recognized Henry's name.
Yeah.
Vecna, like they would have known that he, once they said Henry, they would have known if they went to high school with him.
Right. Well, Jamie Campbell Bower wins he did a great job. I thought his performance was really good. He wins the award for villain with the most different names in the history of villains.
I know, really.
And it's interesting how they retconned the events right before Elle originally escaped the Hawkins lab. Like, they retconned it when, we were led to believe for several seasons that, like, she caused all the mayhem and opened the thing. And it turns out she did open the Upside Down when she sent Henry there. And then it was Henry that was the bad guy. And then we get all of that backstory with Henry and how the evil was really him, but then it was him with the Mind Flayer wasn't like, I always thought the Mind Flayer was just like something that came from Henry, like not that it was these two. Turns out the Mind Flayer was some spider alien on another planet, and that was all interesting. So, and like what the whole, and then he was, when they went back to that whole, his final memory that he had to escape from, which somehow he was living in Hawkins, but then he was out in Arizona in the middle of the desert and goes down in a mine and finds some lab technician with a suitcase with a secret Lovecraft space rock. And I was like, so no, it's like, so where are anybody's powers really from? You know what I mean? Because everything, I guess, comes from the space rock. So that was interesting, but I felt like it kind of like diminished the horror and the mystery and the where's this, the whole cosmic, sort of horror aspect of this. It's just a space rock that took his brain over. But that was interesting. I thought it was nice that Mrs. Wheeler got her chance to be a badass for a while, protecting her daughter and then beating up on the demo dog in the hospital there.
I really liked the bathtub scene when they had to hold their water under breath and everything, and I thought that was pretty well done. And the hospital scenes too, I thought they did a good job with those. Another plot hole that also too. What happened at the end with Robin's girlfriend?
Yeah, she just
whatever her name was.
She vanished.
Yeah, yep. There was no mention. It could have even just had like one comment about it, like anything. I guess much like Susie, we assume that she broke up.
Right.
But I mean, we could have had a sentence,
right?
One piece of dialogue.
And what is your guys' reaction to the fact that, aside from the misdirection with Elle and the open question with Elle, what is your thoughts on the fact that the entire primary cast survived without a scratch, the whole thing? Does that
doesn't really bother me.
Does it bother you, or
much.
does it not bother you? Or?
I'm okay about it, I think.
I'm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can't just judge the stakes in a show on if none of the main characters die, then the show has no stakes. It's like no, it doesn't have to.
I really loved Eddie's character, and I was devastated when he died. And I thought they were going to bring him back, at least in like a memory or something more. And they didn't. I was very disappointed in that. But he was a pretty big. I don't know. I felt like I said pretty connected to him, so that was a big death for me.
Right, and then Max's brother the year before.
Yep.
Well, it's funny because if they had killed off somebody, then they'd just be endless arguing over who they picked, and they would be like, "Oh, they probably," because if they, they picked Lucas, or if they picked Max, or people would either be mad because, or like maybe Jonathan.
Well, he was one of my least favorite characters,
right.
So if he died, I wouldn't have been.
Well, that's
sad.
the thing. People would have accused them of like just picking somebody, kind of like not that, kind of more on the sideline, so that they don't make you mad. But it is funny. I do feel like they kind of had their cake and ate it too with the way they did this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, because we almost lost Steve. That scene, I mean, I held my breath. I don't know about you guys. I got real
that
nervous.
that would have been a big one. Like if they had killed off Steve, I think that would have been a huge thing.
I don't think they could have done that to Dustin though.
Yeah,
he would have lost Eddie and then Steve.
Geez, yeah.
And then there's the whole thing of like I don't know where has anyone read anything about, have they hinted, the Duffer Brothers or anybody, at whether the likelihood that Mike's version of what happened to Elle is really what happened versus no, she's
I think
dead.
they've been totally like, it's totally up to you kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, vague.
Yeah. But they definitely did. I remember even when it happened, like the explosion shockwave was blowing one way, and then she kind of faded out in a very weird sort of pixelated way. She didn't just get blown away by the storm. So I was like, they're doing something here.
And everyone keeps bringing up the point too that when she uses her powers, she gets a bloody nose, and there was no blood when she was supposedly doing that. And they had the like force field or whatever, that sound machine that was pointed at her that would have diminished her powers or not allowed her to do that.
Right.
And it seemed like it didn't affect her. So I mean, I can see a lot of, like, there's a theory about how her sister projected that she was dying and used her powers to project Elle.
Right.
When she wasn't even there. So
Right.
I'm like, I mean, there could be.
That's the big thing. It's like that's what they are going with.
But was it intentional, or did they just miss those things and we're reading into it too much? That was what I was.
Well, I mean, no, I mean they showed that when Mike tells the whole story when they play their last game of D&D, he shows her. They show Callie, with her. We thought she was already dead, but they showed her definitely using her powers, and then they show Elle sneaking out and all that stuff. So interesting. It's interesting that they got the emotional impact of her dying, but then they also
kind of
brought her back. Well, that's the thing. Is like I think I sort of knew back in the earlier seasons that Hopper. The intention was that Hopper was dead at the end of season 3, and they made a decision to bring him back. I thought they just faked us out, and they always intended to bring him back, but apparently they originally did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard that about Steve's character too. He was originally going to be out of after season 1. I don't know how they were ending it, and I guess he talked to them and convinced them to keep his character in, which I'm glad they did, because he was
great.
He was good.
Yeah, there was one other character who I can't remember who was supposed to get killed off and kind of magically came back.
Well, I really thought it was going to be Max, to be honest with you. I mean, she was in that coma type state, and I just thought that she was just going to pass.
Oh, Papa. I mean, obviously, we all thought Papa was dead, but
oh yeah,
that was interesting the way they did that in season 4. So, any other thoughts, Cam? Anything on the special effects or anything like that? I thought overall, it
was very
perception was. I was just gonna say my perception was there was some shaky stuff, and some stuff that looked a little unreal, but for the most part, and most of the big scenes looked pretty good.
Right. Yeah, I would say it was very back and forth. I mean, all the close-up stuff and like the obviously the Demogorgons and the Mind Flayer looked good, but and this is, I feel like I say this every episode, but something about modern movies just has this weird green screen problem where they seem to have perfected it in like 2011, and then ever since then it's gotten worse and worse, where it just looks like these characters pasted onto these fake backdrops, where I don't really remember that being an issue even in like earlier films, like the early Star Wars movies. Like you can tell, but it looks so much like stranger in these later releases. And obviously, I don't know if you guys have seen the joke or the meme about the Linkin Park video, how it looks like the final battle looks like it's and I forget what song it is, but some old Linkin Park music video where it's like really early CGI and them pasted onto this weird planet, and it looks exactly like the Mind Flayer planet. And there are people who have done edits of like them on the Linkin Park video or Linkin Park in the Abyss, and I thought that was really funny.
Oh, that's funny.
But,
We gotta see
overall,
that.
like very, very good.
I did feel like there was a scene or a couple of scenes when they were in the cave that it did look a little, background looked a little, I don't know, hokey, I guess you could say. It didn't look like it meshed. So I can see what you're saying on that.
Yeah, I will say too, like, just going back to some things that were a little bit disappointing, I did think that the final battle, and specifically, I thought them fighting the Mind Flayer spider guy was pretty good for the most part. I thought just Elle's fight with Vecna, though, seemed a little underwhelming, and I know people have complained about there being no Demogorgons there to help or whatever.
Have you seen those memes? They're hysterical. No. The Demogorgons are like on the beach, like on vacation, and like they're doing all kinds of different things, like why they're not available. It's hysterical.
But then somebody else said every blow that got struck on Vecna would have disabled the Demogorgons too. So whatever, it was fine.
Well, they kept talking about the hive mind, so I thought they were going to do a,
right.
Star Wars Phantom Menace where they blow up Vecna and then all the Demogorgons fall over and they beat them all at the same time kind of thing, but then it turned out there were no Demogorgons at all.
Yeah.
Do you think they just ran out of funding or something? They were like, okay, we got to scratch something.
I did read something that the Duffer Brothers and one of the producers felt like people were sick of the Demogorgons.
Because they were such a big part of the earlier parts of this last season.
Yeah. But there was, something along those
And
lines.
the merchandising of them.
I know, right?
They have plush Demogorgons you can pick up at like Walmart now.
Yeah. Other thoughts you guys have? I have one more thing I want to kind of touch on.
I would say the last thing I want to say is I felt kind of the performances were either like really good or just fine, and it kind of varied from scene to scene. It felt like there were some scenes where it felt like the actors were just like, let's just get this over with and get all this out and be done with it. And then there were other great, very strong performances, but it didn't seem as consistent as it kind of felt like everyone was kind of just ready to be done at this point.
Yeah, and there was, and again, I mean, it's kind of like Endgame in a little bit. There was just so many people to cover and so much stuff to do, and I bet a lot. You know how filming schedules are. All these things are probably being done in like at such different times.
Well, let's not give them too much of a pass. They had plenty of time to get the seasons together.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true. There were some really strong performances.
Do you have an example, Cam, of any of the performances on any of the actors that you were like underwhelmed by?
I don't know. I felt like Sadie Sink, maybe just because she was underused, but it felt like she was just kind of like reading her lines off and ready to be done with it. And I've never been super impressed with Will or Millie Bobby Brown. She's a lot better. I don't think. I forget the actor's name. He's a very good actor, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I think some of them are just like kids that got cast in the show, and they're kind of doing the best they can. Whereas others of them are clearly very good. Yeah. But I suspect that Sadie Sink probably had a whole bunch of other stuff going on, and she was doing this on top of it. Well, because I think maybe that's another one of these deaths that got hinted at, but I think maybe they thought they were going to kill her off and not bring her back, and then they decided to. I don't know. But anyway, my one last point is just around shows in general and what the reaction to this final season has been on, and just folks, the way people, some people are just like, so like, hey, it sucked, and I should have stopped watching after season 1, and they just blah 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 blah, and and the writers always, and I'm just like, and David Harbour had a couple of interviews, and he hinted at some of this stuff, just at how when they first did season 1 and no one knew how it was going to go, like just the freedom that they had to just make the show what it was. And when you're a creative group and you come up with something like this, and then and you put it out there and you're like, oh, I don't know if people are going to like it or not, and then you hook them with what you created, but then all of a sudden the audience kind of takes ownership of it, and then you slowly lose control over your ability to tell the story that you want to tell, because there's such fan expectations. I mean, Harbour in his interviews talked a lot of just about stuff like how, you know, they didn't let him smoke anymore after like the first couple of seasons.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was ripping down like a pack a day.
They cut back on his drinking and like all these things, because now that the show's super popular and it's like a big family event and blah blah blah, and how they have to, you know, they're trying to balancing all these different audience expectations that are out there. Like I liken it back to like imagine if there was Twitter and TikTok and everything else back when season 6 and 7 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out. I mean, people would have been losing their minds about like so much of the stuff they did in the last 2 seasons of that show. But like they didn't have that weight of all these people just screaming bloody murder, and having these expectations, and like how can you possibly balance millions of people's expectations of how things are going to turn out? So it's like there's very few shows that have said F it and just have totally done what they wanted to do and didn't care about the, you know, what the audience reaction was. And then there's some that, you know, you can clearly tell that, you know, this show definitely had weight of audience expectations, and then like how that can affect the end product.
And too, we also all have PTSD from Game of Thrones.
Well, Game of Thrones, yeah. Ever since
I'll never get over that. Yeah,
right. But that's the thing. Is like I feel like it's almost become like a cottage industry. Is like ever since Game of Thrones, now it's almost it's like a thing to hate the finale of whatever show, whatever big
That's
show.
What I was gonna say.
Comes to an end.
It seems like people are almost trying to like manufacture this outrage about the Stranger Things finale when it's like not like it wasn't like mind-blowingly good or anything, but it just is not the disaster that people are kind of acting like it is.
No.
At least some people. I've seen a very mixed kind of, some people really liked it and some people didn't, but
I loved how they brought it back to the basement and the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons again at the end, getting called back upstairs for dinner. It was like paralleled, you know, how the first one started, the first episode. I thought that was great. And then having the younger kids rushing downstairs to take their place, it just kind of all came full circle for me. And I agree, Cam, what you said at the beginning too, just being very emotional. I was shocked at how much I cried that last episode. But I mean, overall, again, I still
I think they did everything they possibly
that they
could to make it as satisfying an ending as possible. So, well, I guess that's a wrap. The end of an era. Stranger Things is over. Got to move on to the next thing.
Stranger Things is over, and Fallout has begun.
Yeah, we're in the midst of Fallout.
Yeah, we're getting into that. Yeah, we have a few more episodes, right, before the end of the season?
A few more episodes. I think there's 3 more episodes.
Yeah, they just announced that they're pushing the release dates up a day, so they're going to release on Tuesday now.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
That's so we'll
not really sure why, but
yeah, that is why. What difference does one day make? But but yeah, so we did take our hiatus, and there, frankly, I think, I mean, maybe I already said this too. There wasn't a whole lot after Halloween, major stuff, and then Stranger Things was so spaced out that we wanted to just wait to the end to cover it. But now we've got Fallout. Wonder Man drops tomorrow. I don't know if you're really interested in that. Yeah. It's a new Marvel show, Jen, but that drops tomorrow, and there's a bunch of stuff coming out soon.
Maybe. I don't want to say yes yet. I'm not sure.
And it looks like it's really like going to be very different, not like a typical Marvel show at all. But
yeah, what else do we have coming up too, other than
that Monarch season 2 is coming out.
Oh yeah,
I'm looking forward to that. There's a whole I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But I mean, it's a little further down. But Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and Sadie Sink is in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's coming out is that May or July? Cam, do you know?
I think that's July, but I could be wrong.
Maybe that was Sadie's side project when she was supposed to be working on Stranger Things.
Yeah. But no, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out, and we will be here for it. So thank you again for returning and finding us, and for always finding us wherever you listen to your podcasts. We appreciate you listening, and we will be back very shortly with Fallout, Wonder Man start, and we'll see where it takes us from there.
And a bunch of horror movies. And go Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Woo!
Woo!
Oh, nice. Are they in the Super Bowl this year?
Yes. They won.
News to me. And I guess that will wrap it up, and we'll see you on the next one.